Chapter 3 of Buddhist Writings. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Eli Farley. Buddhist Writings. Translated by Henry Clark Warren. Chapter 3. The Attainment of Buddhaship. Now at that time there lived in Uruvela a girl named Sujata, who had been born in the family of the householder Senani in General's town. On reaching maturity, she made a prayer to a certain banyan tree, saying, "If I get a husband of equal rank with myself, and my firstborn is a son, I will make a yearly offering to you of the value of 100,000 pieces of money." And her prayer had been successful. And wishing to make her offering on the day of full moon of the month Visakha, full 6 years after the great being commenced his austerities, she first pastured 1,000 cows in Lathimadu wood, and fed their milk to 500 cows, and the milk of these 500 cows to 250, and so on down to feeding the milk of 16 cows to 8. This working the milk in and in, as it is called, was done to increase the thickness and the sweetness and the strength-giving properties of the milk. And when it came to be the full moon day of Visakha, she resolved to make her offering, and rose up early in the morning, just when night was breaking into day, and gave orders to milk the 8 cows. The calves had not come at the teats of the cows. Yet as soon as new pails were put under the udders, the milk flowed in streams of its own accord. When she saw this miracle, Sujata took the milk with her own hands and placed it in a new vessel, and herself made a fire and began to cook it. While the milk rice was cooking, immense bubbles arose, and turning to the right, went round together, but not a single drop ran over the edge, and not a particle of smoke went up from the fireplace. On this occasion the 4 guardian angels were present, and stood guard over the fireplace. Mahabrahma bore aloft the canopy of state, and Sakka raked the firebrands together and made the fire blaze up brightly. And just as a man crushes honey out of a honeycomb that has formed around a stick, so the deities by their superhuman power collected an amount of vital sap sufficient for the sustenance of the gods and men of all the 4 great continents and their 2,000 attendant isles, and infused it into the milk rice. At other times, to be sure, the deities infused this sap into each mouthful, but on the day of the attainment of the Buddhaship, and on the day of the cease, they placed it in the kettle itself. When Sujata had seen so many miracles appear to her in one day, she said to her slave girl Puna, "Puna, dear girl, the deity is very graciously disposed to us today. I have never before seen so many marvelous things happen in so short a time. Run quickly, and get everything ready at the holy place." "Yes, my lady," replied the slave girl, and ran in great haste to the foot of the tree. Now that night the future Buddha had 5 great dreams, and on considering their meaning, reached the conclusion, "Without doubt I shall become a Buddha this very day." And when night was over, and he had cared for his person, he came early in the morning to that tree, to await the hour to go begging. And when he sat down, he illumined the whole tree with his radiance. Then came Puna, and saw the future Buddha sitting at the foot of the tree, contemplating the eastern quarter of the world. And when she beheld a radiance from his body lighting up the whole tree with a golden color, she became greatly excited, saying to herself, "Our deity, methinks, has come down from the tree today, and has seated himself ready to receive our offering in person." And she ran in great haste and told Sujata of the matter. When Sujata heard this news, she was overjoyed, and saying, "From this day forth be to me in the room of an eldest daughter," she decked Puna with all the ornaments appropriate to that position. And since a future Buddha on the day he attains the Buddhaship must needs receive a golden dish worth 100,000 pieces of money, therefore the idea occurred to her of putting the milk rice in a golden dish, and bringing out a golden dish that was worth 100,000, she took up the cooking vessel and began to pour out the milk rice. All the milk rice rolled off like water from a lotus leaf, and exactly filled the dish. Then, covering the dish with another, which was also made of gold, and wrapping it in a cloth, she adorned herself in all her ornaments, and with the dish on her head proceeded in state to the foot of the banyan tree. As soon as she caught sight of the future Buddha, she was exceedingly overjoyed, supposing him to be the tree god, and as she advanced she kept constantly bowing. And taking the pot from her head, she uncovered it, and with some flower-scented water in a golden vase, drew near and took up a position close to the future Buddha. The earthenware bowl which the future Buddha had kept so long, and which had been given him by Gatikara, the Mahabrahma god, in that instant disappeared, and the future Buddha, stretching out his right hand in an attempt to find his bowl, grasped the vase of water. Next, Sujata placed the dish of milk rice in the hand of the great being. Then the great being looked at Sujata, and she perceived that he was a holy man, and did obeisance, and said, "Lord, accept my donation, and go whithersoever it seemeth to you good." And adding, "May your wishes prosper like mine own," she departed, caring no more for her golden dish worth 100,000 pieces of money than if it had been a dead leaf. The future Buddha rose from his seat and walked round the tree with his right side towards it. And taking the dish, he proceeded to the banks of the Niranjara and descended into its waters, just as many thousands of future Buddhas before him had descended on the day of their complete enlightenment. The spot where he bathed is now a place of pilgrimage named Supatitita, and here he deposited the dish on the bank before descending into the water. Had been the dress of many hundreds of thousands of future Buddhas before him, and sitting down with his face to the east, he made the whole of the thick, sweet milk rice into 49 pellets of the size of the fruit of the single-seeded palmyra tree, and ate it. And he took no further nourishment until the end of the 7 weeks, or 49 days, which he spent on the throne of wisdom after he had become a Buddha. During all that time he had no other nourishment. He neither bathed, nor rinsed his mouth, nor did he ease himself, but was wholly taken up by the delights of the trances, of the paths, and of the fruits. Now when he had consumed the milk rice, he took the golden dish, and saying, "If I am to succeed in becoming a Buddha today, let this dish go upstream, but if not, let it go downstream." He threw it into the water, and it swam, cleaving the stream, until it came to the middle of the river, and then, like a fleet horse, it ran upstream for a distance of 80 cubits, keeping all the while in the middle of the stream. Then it dived into a whirlpool, and went to the palace of the Black Snake King, and hit click, click against the dishes that had been used by the last 3 Buddhas, and took its place at the end of the row. When the Black Snake King heard the noise, he exclaimed, "But yesterday a Buddha lived, and now another has been born," and so on, through several hundred laudatory verses.